Hey everybody, Nerd Transformed here again, and today I'm reviewing the Transformer Cybertron Scout Class Wreckloose. Now Wreckloose is one of my least favorite figures in the line. Not that he's bad, but for one thing, he wasn't in the show. Like, articulation wise and paint wise, Breakdown's probably worse, but he was a show character. This character, much like Armorhide that I reviewed previously, was a figure that was actually exclusive to the US version Cybertron line. These were not released in Galaxy Force, as far as I know. And just like that character, he was not in the show at all. But you can see right here, he is a sort of, I believe, a Komodo dragon of some kind. Definitely not accurate colors to a real Komodo dragon, but got, you know, Cybertroning it up. They didn't want to release, like, very dim, black and gray colored figure, so. But it does look pretty good. I mean, he's got a lot of cool details. He's got like this little gem in his back. He's got some like scaling effect going down. He's got like this. He kind of has similar to what some of the Transmetals had, where he has like biological detail with mechanical detail underneath. So you can see parts where his scales got ripped away. You can see like wires and tubes and such underneath. His legs, it's kind of hard to tell. The dark green is a little kind of hiding the details. But you can see like a couple smaller details. You can see his hands on the bottom of his feet from where he transforms. You know, he does have a lot of interesting details, at least. You know, the feet are definitely really nicely detailed. They definitely look like little lizard feet. The tail looks pretty cool, actually. I like the little spikes on the ends. That way it looks like he could actually like hit somebody with it and do some damage. There's some like spikes going along the top. And he's got similar detail up here with the wires missing. So it's got the green on the bottom, which isn't quite as detailed. It kind of just has a basic armored lizard look to it. But I do like it. There is a lot of nice paint. His eyes are painted. He's got some little dashes of yellow underneath to kind of give that lizard effect. He's got some silver for all the wiring details. It is painted green along the bottom of the neck and kind of faded to kind of go into the black. You do get these little orange bands all around. It kind of makes it look like he's actually being held together by the orange bands. And of course, you do have like this weird brown for the robot transformation. He does have a unique transformation, and thanks to how he transforms, he actually does get some good articulation. In this mode, his mouth can open, but it's made a little hard. Honestly, every time I want to open his mouth, I just go ahead and split this figure for transformation, open the half mouth bits, and then put them back together. And you can see he can open his mouth pretty far, actually. It's a pretty stiff joint, too. So you could have him like yelling, you know, you could have him just like talking, you know. It can work. You do get full hinges and movement into the legs, because these do form the arms later. So you get all that articulation there, you know, you get the hinge for like an elbow or a knee joint, I guess, and you get another ball jointed one, so you can swivel. And the feet do move on the hinge, so you can get them into a walking pose if you want them to take like a step forward. The back legs also have articulation. They are ball jointed as well, so you know, ball jointed movement in the back legs as well. Ball jointed here, so you can get all that going. And like I mentioned, thanks to the transformation, his tail actually has a bend to it, so you can actually get two bends actually, so you can actually get him like curling around. I believe he was actually packaged like this too. Like I think he was actually packaged something like this, which is at least in one of the toy lines he was released in. He was also released in the Transformers 2010 toy line, if I remember correctly. But yeah, he has those two bends there, so you can actually start whipping his tail around. You know, maybe not quite that far, but you can get a bend going definitely. And you do have the swivel here. Not sure if that's useful in this mode, but you can definitely swivel. And he does have an accessory. He has this armor, as it's called, I believe. And it has that little weird peg here. He has a little slot right along his neck here. Just add it on, and it gives him a helmet. And this is where you can see what faction he is. He does not have a Decepticon symbol on him except for the helmet. Which kind of makes sense, because the Jungle Planet was kind of split on whose side they were on, really. With like the speed in Jungle Planet, there was really no telling whose side they were really on. But yeah, you can see Decepticon symbol there. He's got this big old helmet with like these spikes on it. It is a little dumb, but it is kind of cool in a way, because I like that his weapon's actually a separate thing, like almost like he's preparing for battle. And it does match the green of his legs. And of course, it does have a gimmick. You know, we're going to use a Beast Plant key here. Just slot it in. And they split out and give him antlers. They're supposed to be like spiked blades, but honestly, it kind of just looks like he has antlers now. He's now a deer. It's not a bad gimmick. I mean, it does certainly give him an attack. I mean, you can just suddenly just flay these out and hit somebody with them, or you can just run past somebody and side blade them. But yeah, antlered deer or antlered Komodo dragon. But it certainly looks vicious. I mean, I guess you could say he's vicious. But we're gonna go ahead and fold it up, and we're gonna get the transformation. Or actually, let's do some size comparisons real quick. Here he is next to Armor Hide, so you can see very similar in size. A little bit longer because he is a beast. And for a more modern comparison, here he is with Titan Master Overbite. Now we're gonna get down to transformation. So what you're gonna do, twist it like this, so that way you have the legs sticking out this way, because otherwise you're gonna have this big gap right there. Go ahead and split the tail, which will form his legs, which is why it looks like that. Go ahead and rotate the end of the tail forward, flip it out for feet. Take the lizard legs, and just kind of fold them down. You can also, what I like to do is fold them up like this. That's usually how I transform it, so we're going to go with that for now. Then we're going to take the arms, or the front legs, bring them forward, flip the feet down to give him his hands, rotate the whole arm. Rotate the whole arm like so. And rotate around to where you have the lizard feet forward, actually. And now I'll give him his elbows. And then just split the head down the middle. I'll give him his shoulder blades and reveal his head. And there we have Wreckloose in his robot mode. So now I have him in his robot mode. Let's go get comparisons out of the way. Here he is next to Armor Hide, who is much wider and bulkier, but not nearly as tall. Wreckloose definitely has more of the lanky tallness thing going on. And here he is next to Titan Master Overbite again, just for that modern comparison. And you see, yep, he's about your standard scout class size, maybe a little bit taller than normal. So yeah, let's look at Wreckloose in his robot mode. A lot of his details are just his lizard Komodo dragon mode details. I mean, his legs are just his tail. His hands, I guess you could say, are new details. You can actually see he does have fingers and all that, so he actually has all the fingers and thumb all sculpted in. So that's pretty nice. We can see a better look at that gem and that chest plate, which looks pretty cool. The main new detail is his head, of course, which looks really like mean and angry and powerful. Actually, he has a very much like a mutated Grimlock thing going on. Also, kind of reminds me of Dinobot from Beast Wars. He has like this helmet going on. He's got like these big fangs sticking upward, big old, not fangs I guess, but like his big bottom teeth jutting out. You can see his eyes are actually painted green. It's hard to tell because his head's like this yellowish green, but his eyes are actually painted the same green as the lizard head here. Then he has that big old horn. I don't know, it's a very mean but very like intimidating head sculpt. I kind of like it in a way. And of course he does have his accessory, which there is a shaped peg on there with the screw hole that actually is shaped just right to have that on his back. He can hold that, of course, but I kind of like having it on his back. It kind of gives him this very powerful look. It looks like he has this, like this, I don't know, I guess you could say it's a shield or something ready to go. And, you know, he can hold it, of course. I believe we won't hold it this way. What I like to do is actually, peg in his hand, but fold out the lizard legs. That way he's actually holding it forward like that. Because normally if you fold it normally, he's kind of holding it, like, pointing it like a gun. If you fold it out like that, you can actually get more room to hold it like a shield. And then, of course, you can still use the Cybertron key gimmick. Flip out his antlers. I'm just going to keep calling them antlers because that's what they look like to me. They're antlers. But yeah, there you go. Still kind of looks like a shield, but, you know, you can point it forward and kind of looks like a bow gun. I don't know, this doesn't really look like a melee weapon anymore. And there is a slot in both of his elbows where his ball joint is to do similar to that screw hole in his back and give him his like a elbow shield or something, you know. But let's see how that looks with it fully unfurled. Let's pop that up open again. Don't usually display with it. I usually just display with him on its back, but well, there, now it kind of looks more like a melee weapon. I mean, you can see him going like, punch, slice of dice. It's not bad, but I usually just leave it on his back. But we're going to put it aside for now. There is a couple things you can actually do with his arms, because if you don't like how these look, but go these flat pieces just sticking out, you can actually fold them up like this, turn the arm around, and you can give him more of this. And he has about the same articulation too, but you can give him more of the lizard heads kind of sticking off like that. I personally don't like it, but I know some people who do. But it does make his arms look a little bit more stubblier, plus I don't like the arms jutting out forward like that. So like I said, I don't personally do this, but, you know, it is an option if you don't like the long, flat shoulder blades. So yeah, let's get to his articulation, actually. He does have a head swivel, which goes all the way around. He actually has a lot of movement in the arms, due to how his arms are actually articulated for both lizard mode and now the robot mode has them too, because the whole shoulder blade is articulated like this. So you can actually have the whole piece rotate. It can go outward. The arms can actually rotate underneath the shoulder blade. They have their own outward movement. He has a hinge at the elbow, and he also has a ball joint underneath. So you actually get a swivel and ball joint as well, plus the hand can technically move with the foot thing. So yeah, he actually has a lot of articulation in the arms. It actually kind of makes it difficult to move his arms sometimes, because sometimes you're trying to move it, like remove the whole shoulder blade, but then instead this will start going instead. So I would recommend just grabbing the piece you want to move. You do get a swivel. The legs are a lot simpler to move, of course. They're just the basic, you know, got the ball joint here. The ball joint doesn't go outward very far, but it does go enough that you can splay the legs at least. You do get a knee. And unfortunately the swivel is below the knee, but you can still use that at least. And you do actually get some ankle movement. Only backwards, of course, though, as you would kind of expect with this kind of stuff. But you could kind of still get his kind of a punch pose, you know. Or him pointing at something. I guess that would be more like a punch. It looks like he's kind of punching. Also looks like he's really broke his leg. That's actually kind of what it looks more like, he broke his leg. So yeah. That's Wreckloose. A very kind of meh figure for me. I mean, interesting ideas, but I don't know. There's something, it's like, I like the ideas more than I like the figure, if that makes sense. I like the shield. I like how versatile it is. That it can be like a spiked weapon, it can be like a bow gun, or it can be his shield, and it has like it has some very interesting places to go for him, because in Cybertron it was usually just sticking in their hand and that's it. Here you can actually put it away by putting it on his back and putting it on his elbow. I like the head sculpt, I like the transformation, I like how creative it is, I like that the tail splits, I like that it actually gives him articulation in his Komodo Dragon mode. I like that it's a Komodo Dragon of all things. That's a really cool and unique... alt mode for a figure. I think personally for me it's also the color scheme, the green and the black, they both blur out a lot of the details. And the articulation is a little believed desired. Like, yeah, there's a lot of good arm articulation, but it kind of gets in the way of itself. And the legs could have used that swivel being up here a bit more. Plus, these do get in the way if you don't have them in the right position, so... I don't know. He's a very weird figure for me. I like him, but I don't love him, and I don't like him a lot either. I don't hate him, but I don't like him a lot. He's very much near the middle for me, just barely above average for me. But, you know, he is an interesting figure. He is a cool little toy to mess around with. If you're a collector for the Cybertron line, I would, of course, say go get him. If you like weird lizard transformers, I would say he's probably up your alley. If you like weird gimmicks or you like shield transformers, you might like this figure. Other than that, though, it's hard to recommend him for much anybody else. So, this has been Nerd Transformed. I hope you enjoyed this review, and I hope you have a good day. Take care.